Our team at Prison Professors is always working to make a bigger impact on society. And I just can't tell you how thrilled I am to be sharing this new video with Aleyah. She is our advocacy expert. Actually, I think we gave her advocacy director the name. Aleyah, I'm just so glad that you're part of our community right now, helping us to communicate with tens of thousands of people in prisons across America. And the work that you're doing will really help us as we work to influence administrators and legislators on the need for more reforms that really allow administrators to incentivize a pathway to excellence, just like you do at American University.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to join the team. And I'm really looking forward mostly to being able to support justice-impacted activists in their efforts. But
well, that's what our nonprofit does, and you are really going to our first intern and the director of the advocacy program. But I know that you've already started, and this is going to be a regular kind of feature that we'll use on our websites, on our YouTube channel, so that other people can kind of see what we're doing. But I know you had some questions for me, and I thought, well, if you've got questions, let's go ahead and let me respond, because other people may want to hear what I have to say to your questions. And we're going to just do it ad lib. So what are those questions?
Absolutely. Okay, so one person messaged me, his name's Laurent, I think, and he said, I put together a Dress to Impress program that teaches inmates how to tie a necktie, and when they are released from prison, they can be given the proper tools for success, which includes button-down shirt, necktie, and pants. When they go on job interviews, they can look the part, and it'll also boost their self-esteem. I will send the booklet out by mail tonight to your location, so your location in Dana Point, California. And then he said, thank you so much for your time, and I'm looking forward to being a part of the scholarship.
So this person's in federal prison right now, is that correct?
Yes.
And he's trying to put together a program that he wants to use when he comes home, is that right?
I believe he already did.
Okay. And what is the question?
My question for you is, how should I respond to this message?
What's his name?
His name's, I think, Laurent.
Hi, Laurent. I'm glad that you're using your time inside to prepare for the things that you want to do when you come home. I want you to know, coming home, it's very important that you focus on your own success, because it's really difficult. And I've met so many people who want to get out of prison and immediately go into the advocacy space, or immediately go into this pathway of trying to give back. But the reality, unfortunately, is that many people come out of prison and they have a really hard time just getting basic necessities and getting a job. And I want you to be thinking about that. If you have a pathway to sponsorship and earning a living and providing these resources that you very generously want to give, that's one thing. But my experience is that most people come out of prison, they don't have anything. And the first thing I would really urge you to make sure that you have in place is your own pathway to success. Because I mean, I've been out of prison for 10 years now, and it's only because of all the work that I've done in other areas of my life that I'm able to do this. So I'm really going to encourage you to tell us what your release plan is first, before you ask us what you can do with this really great program that you're coming with, because it costs a lot of money to do everything in advocacy.
Okay,
that's
great.
what I would tell him.
Okay. Is there anything that I can respond with to let him know how we can help? Because I feel like maybe part of the reason he reached out is because he's hoping for us to do some type of collaboration, or maybe.
So I want you to know you're going to get a lot of that. Okay. There's going to be a lot of people in prison.
One of my future questions.
They're going to want to be me. Okay. And I want them to be me. But the difference is, when you read Earning Freedom, you will see that my preparations for success began the day I went in, not the day I was coming out. I didn't need to ask for help when I got out like that. So if somebody's saying, hey, I want to partner with me, I can't. To be successful after prison, you've got to master one thing. And sometimes that is to learn how to say no. I can't do that, because I can't do everything. I can't help everybody that wants to come in and build a charity organization and a nonprofit. That would make sure the only thing that would be certain of that is we get nothing done. If I want to get something done, I've got to be hyper focused on what I want. And here's what we want, Aleyah. We need to influence very cynical people, like your professor, okay, when he was in that role, okay, that we need more incentives. Because in the correctional system, the default answer is you've got nothing coming. I didn't sentence you to prison. The judge sentenced you to prison. You're going to serve all of your time. I've had to work really hard to get us to the point where we now can get people thinking about incentives and incentivizing a pursuit of excellence. But if I get sidetracked into something that doesn't have a pathway to collecting data and to focus on really delivering what's changing lives, then I won't succeed. And I'm about success, and I'm about telling people, I never asked you to do anything I didn't do. I had to find sponsors and support, but don't look at the guy who got out of prison after 26 years. Go get your sponsorship to be Bill Gates or Elon Musk. Look for those people to be your sponsors and figure out what is it going to take to get those kinds of sponsors. That's what I have to do every day. And I want you to do that same thing, which is what we teach in our program. Develop skills that will help you become a better writer, develop your vocabulary, develop your skills that will make you a better reader, develop critical thinking, develop skills that will demonstrate you know how to solve these problems on your own. If you have to ask me to solve these problems, you're not ready. You're not ready. And I'm not going to be your friend by telling you I'm going to solve your problems. So that's one of the messages that I give in prison. Is I learned from Frederick Douglass. What did Frederick Douglass do? He didn't tell somebody else, read this for me. He figured out how to read. He didn't tell somebody else to write this. He didn't use ChatGPT to write his biographies. He had to learn how to do it himself. And that's what we have to teach people in prison how to do. Learn how to solve problems, but first figure out what are the problems I'm going to have to solve. Sometimes people don't know what problems they have to solve. And that's what I tell them when I go into prisons. I'm going to show you the path. I can't walk the path for you, and I can't pull you along on my path. Right? I've got to build what I'm trying to build, and you've got to build what you're trying to build. And I wish you the best of success in doing it. But you should have these answers in place if you want to come home and be an advocate. So that's my answer. Might not be the answer everybody wants to hear, but I'm not trying to give a bunch of happy talk to people. It's hard coming out of prison, and we want to help them learn how.
Great. Okay, great. So my next question is from Leah Bonner. She said that, long story short, she gives a whole thing. And then at the end, she says, my friend gave me your info and said that you might be able to help people in my situation, and I lost everything. And if there's any more info you need, please inform me and I'll do my best at getting it back to you. Thank you so much for your effort in helping people in my situation.
What I want to help you understand is, yes, you've lost everything. The question you have to answer is, what is success for you? How do you rebuild with nothing? And if you read Earning Freedom, which I recommend that you read, you will see that I too lost everything, including getting a 45-year sentence, and was in a high security penitentiary. And in that environment, I learned from Socrates and Mandela and Frederick Douglass, and that's what I can give to you. I can give to you the lessons that I learned from people that are way smarter than me. And what they taught me how to do is to learn how to be the CEO of my own life. Learn how to define success, number one. Two, learn how to create a plan that's going to take you from where you are to where you want to go. Three, learn how to put priorities in place. Make sure that you know what to do first. Four, develop your set of tools, tactics, and resources. And five, execute your plan every single day. And if you do that, you're going to be stronger. That's my gift to you. You can say, oh, that's too hard. Guess what? It is hard. It's not going to be easy. Okay. And that's a resource. You can choose what to do with it. That's up to you. So I would like you, if you're going to communicate these messages to people, even you as an advocacy director, you are going to have to be directed it as well. So that's why it's super important for you to learn about all of our work. It's the reason that we sent you the books to start with, because the more you learn about this, you will learn I am not in the space of telling you it's easy to come out of prison successfully. And that doesn't matter if you have lost everything and you didn't have any skills, or if you used to be a surgeon or a lawyer or leading, multi-billion-dollar businesses. Prisons destroy lives, and it requires somebody to have a plan to make it through. That's what people learn through our course.
Okay, great.
Any more questions?
Yes, I do have one. I have two questions actually left.
Okay.
So one of them is he's asking for real estate book recommendations.
Okay. All right. So real estate book recommendations. Let me just think here for a second. Which one would I recommend? A lot of people read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I never read it. It's very, very a lot of people love Rich Dad Poor Dad, and they've learned about real estate because that book really just talks about the way that people who achieve high levels of financial success think differently from people who never really make it. People who achieve high levels of success understand the importance of leverage, of acquiring assets, of using their story to acquire more assets, and then get other people to pay for them with tenants. So, or build businesses that have the businesses pay for the real estate. So that's probably a book that I would read. I learned about real estate by learning about the stock market, actually. If you look at the stock market and about business, a person can learn about how to value assets a lot more effectively. But that might be a little more complicated than reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I would urge a person to understand that acquiring a portfolio of real estate while you're in prison or when you come home from prison should begin with understanding the complications. With a felony background, it may be harder to raise capital. So a person should be developing a skill set to develop their personal story and try and persuade business people to invest in them. If you read Earning Freedom, you're going to see how I did that while I was in prison and how I still do that in success after prison. The people will read that, how I still use that strategy today. But those books are not specifically about real estate. They're more about strategic thinking and crisis management and really using the resources that I have all around me to make myself more valuable in the marketplace. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the short answer.
Okay. All right. I wrote that one down. And then the last one is Delvin asked what steps he would need to take in order to become an ambassador.
Oh, so that's a great question. Delvin, you can type this to me. My name is Aleyah. I am the Advocacy Director with Prisoner Professors, and I'm glad that you asked. To become an ambassador of the program, I want you to first become a master of the program. So you should we are sending you a 5-hour workbook. That is the start. What I'm going to need you to do is write your responses to those questions and send them to me. Then I'm going to publish them. And by publishing them, you are now going to be able to live that same message that we all advocate for in our program, is that we never ask anybody to do anything that we didn't do. You will have done the work. And once you have done the work, it becomes easier for you to reach to the people around you and get them involved in saying what they have to do. And what we could do then is also give you feedback on how you responded to these questions. So then I would encourage you, once you've done it, to build your own tribe in your institution. Start thinking today about, how can I find 25 people that I want to be responsible for? I want to teach them. I want to be responsible for teaching them. Yeah. And then write to me, the Advocacy Director, and I'll work to find corporate sponsorship to send those people free books as well. And you want to be the one that's their ambassador. You want them saying, I learned from Delvin. And that's going to help you a long ways. It's also going to help our advocacy efforts. I think it'll give you hope and confidence. It'll make you stronger in your pathway to preparing for success upon release.
Who needs ChatGPT when I have you?
Well,
let me just record this. I'll type it all down word for word. Send.
Yeah, that's right. You'll be able to do that. And that chat, what you just described, is a great follow-up question.
Mhm.
Because I was in prison before there was ever an email, before there was cell phones. I had to learn everything when I came home myself. That is an enormous handicap. And people in prison should learn about this technology. So we're going to be creating tutorials for people in prison on how to use Chat GPT, even though they can't use it. Just understanding things like we were talking about earlier, prompts, and how to ask better questions. All of that requires somebody to understand Socratic questioning. And so we teach that in our course. We want people to learn that. It'll make them more capable of accelerating in the marketplace when they come home. So we will share that. I'm so glad that you're on our team. We'll publish this on YouTube today. We'll get Jonathan to make a YouTube thumbnail for it, and then you can build a transcript, and we'll use this to be the change we want to see in the world.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if somebody wants to ask questions, they can write a question to what is the best email? Aleyah
at prisonprofessors.com, and Aleyah is Aleyah, and my pronouns are here.
Okay, Aleyah at prisonprofessors.com. We should plug that in the chat notes when this thing gets published, so that people can reach out to you directly.
Okay,
all right.
Great.
Thank you.